إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كلام الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة. Brothers and sisters, one time Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he was sitting among the other companions of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as well as other followers of the companions. And so, while he was sitting there, he started to weep, and he started to sob. And the companions and the people around him, they asked him, why is it that you are weeping? For what reason are you weeping? And so he said, just by thinking about one event that Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala has done in his life, because of that event, he has now set the bar so high for those people who come after him, the people who are in positions of power. He has now set the bar so high. So they asked him, what is this incident that you're talking about? What is this matter that you're referring to? So Umar ibn Khattab, he said, so he first started off by saying, he was reminiscing about Abu Bakr, and he said, أَتْعَبْتَ الْخُلَفَاءَ بَعْدَكَ يَا أَبَا بَكْرَ. You have made the job and the responsibility of the khulafa, the caliphate, the khalifa, you have made their job so much more difficult now because of the bar that you have set. So the story is that every day there used to be this one woman where Abu Bakr used to go and visit her. So Allah, he realized that Abu Bakr would walk. After Fajr, he would go to this one lady's house, this old lady's house, way out, far from the city. And he would notice it. So one day he decided, well, I am going to go after Abu Bakr and see what he's up to. So he follows him secretly and goes after him. And then he notices Abu Bakr goes into the tent, and then he stays in there for a while, then he comes out of the tent. So Umar ibn Khattab was intrigued. What is Abu Bakr doing? Now, I'm telling you the story as Umar is narrating it to you, to all of us here, as a story of the past. So he's telling us about why he's so sad. So he said that day, I followed Bakr, I saw him go in, I saw him come out after a long period of time, and then after that I went into the tent after I knew that Abu Bakr had left. So he went in and he finds an extremely elderly lady with a lot of children around her, and then he said, what is it that's going on? What is it that I see over here? So she says, I don't know, except that there is a very, very nice person. He comes to me all the time. And I am a widow, and I have all these children. And he comes into my house, and he cleans for me, he cooks for me, he takes care of everything. And he doesn't even say that he wants some sort of appreciation or whatsoever, and then he just quietly leaves. And he even prepares the food for the kids. And this woman, she said, I have no idea who this man is. I don't know who this man is that is so kind. So she said, لكن الواحد الأحد يدري من هو. But the one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, He is the one who knows the identity of this mysterious person. الَّذِي يَعْلَمُ السِّرَّ وَأَخْفَى. He is the one who knows the secrets as well as the things that are hidden. الَّذِي يَعْلَمُ الصِّدْقَ الصَّادِقِينَ وَإِنَابَةُ الْمُنِيبِينَ. And He is the one who knows the truthfulness and the trustworthiness of those people who are Siddiqeen. And it's so interesting that she didn't even know it was Abu Bakr. But one of the characteristics that she recognized was that he was a Siddiq, a trustworthy person, a responsible person. وَإِنَابَةُ الْمُنِيبِينَ. And the true repentance of those who repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Umar bin Khattab radiallahu ta'ala, he knew that this person would come into her tent and fix her house up and cook the food and prepare everything for the children. He knew that this was Abu Bakr. So what does this story highlight for us, brothers and sisters? The story teaches us that we as a community, especially as leaders such as Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala, it is not just simply signing off documents. It is not just simply promulgating edicts and decisions. It is not just about making difficult decisions. It's about going out there and helping those who are in need. To demonstrate a sense of responsibility, of social justice. And this is something, brothers and sisters, that we as Muslims in the United States of America, we have to start taking it upon ourselves. May Allah reward the brothers and the sisters who came 30, 40 years ago and they've established masajid like these places. But it is now the responsibility of the younger generation to take it to another step. To take it to another step. This is the product of the elderly and the older generation. May Allah reward them. But where is the new leadership and the younger people coming in? Where are all of them? And this is something, brothers and sisters, that if you have to think about very, very deeply, that 50 years from now, 60 years from now, how do you envision this masjid to be? Do you envision this place to be full of young people and still coming to the masjid? Or is this place going to be deserted like the way how so many other religious organizations, they find their religious buildings being abandoned? So the elderly, they have now the responsibility to pass on the baton. And this responsibility is to live and to demonstrate and to show Islam as it is. The Prophet ﷺ, one time he said, كُلُّكُمْ رَاعٌ وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيِّهِ. All of you are shepherds, and all of you will be questioned on your flock. And it's not just simply about being responsible towards your family and towards your friends. You have to realize that part of that responsibility is knowing that you have to hold yourself accountable first and foremost. As Umar bin Khattab said, hold yourself accountable. Hold yourself accountable before you are held accountable on the day of judgment. One time the Prophet was sleeping and he woke up in the middle of the night. And just look at this level of responsibility from him, as-Sadiq al-Amin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he was in a state of fright, in a state of fear. And then his wife said, what is it? Why are you so afraid? Why are you so agitated? And he said, I remember that I had consumed a date. There was a date over there, and I found it on the ground, and I picked it up and I consumed it. And I'm not sure whether or not that date was sadaqah or not. And as you know, the Prophet said, and the Ahl they are forbidden from taking sadaqah, or as some ulama they interpret it as. So the Prophet was trying to be extremely careful about these things. And just because of one day, the Prophet would be in a state of fear. The Prophet would be in a state of fear. Brothers and sisters, the problem that we have now, and I want to highlight for you the problem that we have in many of the communities in the West, is that we tell our kids to be responsible. Post 9/11, we're talking about they have to be responsible citizens, etc. Nice. But the issue is, how do you impart responsibility to the younger generation? Is it simply by telling them that they have to get a degree and get married? Is responsibility simply a matter of paying the bills on time? Is this what responsibility is? Is responsibility just only about telling your kids to go pray 5 times a day and then fast Ramadan as Ramadan is coming up now? So from the next few examples that I'm going to be giving to you, inshallah, we're going to try to demonstrate to you from the lives of the companions and the Salihin that responsibility does not lie just within the bare minimum. Responsibility lies in doing what is up and what is beyond. That is what differentiates a believer, a mu'min from a muhsin. Because a mu'min is someone that simply believes and does whatever is required, but the muhsin is the one who goes far and beyond. So from a financial perspective, brothers and sisters, on the issue of responsibility, Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi, one time he had told his business partner, he said to him, go to such and such a location in Basra and go ahead and sell these garments and make sure that you point out the defect in these garments. And so this man went and he sold all of these garments and he made a total of 30,000 dirham. So when he came back, Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi asked him, he said, did you point out the defect in the garment? Sort of like TJ Maxx, Ross, Marshall style, right? He said, did you point out the defect in the garment? And he said, oh my God, I actually totally forgot. Imam Abu Hanifa, what did he do? He didn't say, oh, too bad. He said, then I'm going to go back to that person and I'm going to return all the money to him. When it comes to this issue of that money, how many of us here actually know how to calculate your own zakat and your holdings and your wealth? How many of you actually know exactly what to give? Is the money that you're getting purely halal? You know, back in Tennessee where I come from, one of the issues that I like to talk about over there is how some people, they like to cheat on their tax return. They cheat on their tax return, they lie on them, and so they're getting all this haram money into the household. And then they're feeding this haram food to their family, and they're coming back like 5, 6, 10 years later, and they're wondering what's wrong with my kid. Well, you've been feeding it haram for the last 15 years. Similarly, in this position that I'm standing here, and this is a reminder to those of you who are studying Islam, or memorizing the Quran, or reading the Tarawih, or whatever it is, the position of leadership itself is such a heavy duty. It's not just something that I'm just going to stand up here and just talk to you about something about Islam. I'm going to just give you some information, just throw this information out to you, as I like to call intellectual vomit, and just give it to you, and then you're just going to have that. It's going to be transformative, and then you're going to go and be better believers. It doesn't work like that. As teachers, as educators, murabbi, mashayikh, all of these people who are in the role of educating, you have to remember that you have to take the bar of education to a higher standard. And we have to know how to take the Quran and the Sunnah in a responsible way, not just running with any interpretation that we like. Take it in a responsible way and make it relevant for our youth today. Similarly, on this topic of education, when it comes to Islamic schools, all of the youth here, they know of the same stories that they talk about in Islamic schools. Bilal ibn Rabah under the weight of the heavy rock of the boulder, right? Abu Bakr being the first one who came to Islam, and Umar ibn Khattab converting to Islam. And all of these stories are the same thing. The dove and the spider web in front of the cave, which by the way is a new narration. And it's just these stories are being regurgitated over and over again in Islamic schools. Imagine if you were able to transform this information into something practical. Imagine if the teachers and the parents, especially the parents, if they were to take that information and they were to say, well, we're going to be talking about the 13 years of Prophet's life in Mecca and how he did the da'wah, but at the same time, this ties into bullying. Now see how you make that information transformative now? See how you have made the seerah come to life? As opposed to the Prophet was stoned on the way out of Mecca. And so the question to the parents here, a gentle reminder. When your kid goes to school, Islamic school, Sunday school, whatever it is, how involved are you in following up with what they have learned from class? Or do you actually think, or have you been fooled into thinking that perhaps sending them to Sunday school alone gets you off, you're scot-free, now you don't have to do anything? You might be a full-time engineer, a full-time teacher, a full-time doctor, a full-time engineer, a full-time taxi driver, or whatever it is. That may be your day job. But your life job, parents, is to raise kids up as Muslims. That is your true full-time job. That's what it means to be a responsible parent. That's what it means to say that, yes, I made immigration, I immigrated to the United States of America. It's not just to seek out better employment and better economic opportunities, but to seek out those opportunities to educate like that. That's what it means to be responsible brothers and sisters. And so, a responsible Muslim brother and sister, the attitude is, if someone can do it, then I can do it. And if no one else is doing it, then I have to do it. But the lazy attitude is, if someone can't do it, no, if someone can do it, then let them do it. If they can't do it, then how do you expect me to do it? You see the difference? Just take, for example, the cleaning of the masjid. Take, for example, any issue that we have on a community level. It's always just keep passing on the baton. I mean, not on the right way. Just keep passing on the baton, let someone else do it, let someone else do it. Alhamdulillah, whatever. And that, brothers and sisters, is not going to nurture you. I one time went to this masjid, not to be named, somewhere. I went to this one masjid, and, alhamdulillah, when I come here and I see like young people giving me that really warms my heart. But in this one masjid, may Allah guide them, this one particular generation, they wouldn't even allow young people to come into the masjid. And you expect the young people to take over the responsibility of this building in 20 years if you don't even allow them to make adhan? We're crying out loud. Brothers and sisters, the way how we move forward with being responsible is by taking our deen responsibly, taking it into full control. Stop talking about Islam as a third-person religion out there. Islam teaches us. It is a religion that teaches us. See how you have made it into the third perspective now? You have not owned it and say, for example, Islam teaches me. I, as a Muslim, I'm supposed to do this. And we see the degradation as well as the lowering of the standard when it comes to the practice of Islam, even our own religious devotion. It's so funny how, if you compare between the Sahaba and us today, not only is that difference so immense, but the Sahaba, when they ever hear something about that is Sunnah, they would hasten to go and do it. They would love and they would jump forward and they would go and do it. But for us, if it's Sunnah, then I don't have to do it. If it's makruh, then I don't have to leave it. This is one of the biggest things that is. It's not just simply about praying 5 times a day and doing your siyam. As Ramadan is coming, inshallah, Allah grant us the ability to fast this year, Allahumma live in Ramadan. But I think what I'm trying to impart to you, brothers and sisters, is that we need to really look, look beyond these walls and think about what is our world down the street. Where are the women's shelters? Where are the homeless centers? Are you telling me that there's not a single Muslim homeless out there? In the United States of America, in the entire United States of America, we don't even have a single level 1, level 2, or even level 3 trauma hospital. And how many doctors are there among Muslim communities? 100,000, tens of thousands. But is Islam only to benefit us? Or is it meant to benefit humanity? Think about it. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. I have to apologize to you that I wish I could go deeper and deeper into the issue of mas'uliyah and responsibility, whether it's physical responsibility, social responsibility, religious responsibility, but it's just a khutbah. So don't just take this khutbah and just leave it at that. What I tell you today, take it to the next level. Start being active in the masjid. Start being active in your city council. Start being active in the community around you. It's really funny how there are only 3 destinations in a lot of Muslim lives. In a lot of family life, it's just simply 3 destinations. The car goes from the house to the work, and from the work to the supermarket and back. And if there is a 4th dock, it might be the masjid. Just to give you one real example in the community outside of Nashville where I'm from, Bellevue. There was a meeting at a school one time, and they invited all the different people in that little community to come out and say, how can we build a library for this place? Only one Muslim showed up. Only one Muslim showed up to this meeting. It was to build a library. And yet, we pride ourselves by saying that the first ayah that came down to the Prophet was Iqra, bring me the name of your Lord. So it's actually a tragedy, brothers and sisters. So take this knowledge and move forward. And I want to conclude with a story, a very, very beautiful story of Ibn Aqil, rahmatullah alayhi, a person who demonstrated extreme levels of responsibility. And it's not just within this example that we're going to talk about, but I want you to think within the broader picture. I mean, this is just simply a microcosm. Ibn Aqil, he said, one time I was traveling and I had finished Hajj. And I found this beautiful red necklace with this nice pendant on the bottom. And I picked it up and I looked at it, and from a distance I heard an elderly man coming and saying, has anyone seen this red necklace? Has anyone seen it? Has anyone noticed it? And he said, well, at that moment, he could have just put it in his pocket and let it go. But he's like, here, I found it. The old man said, let me give you a reward. You found this precious necklace of mine. He said, no, don't worry. So he went off, they parted ways, and they went off in their own direction. So after some time, he said, after that, I went and I visited Philistine, and I went to Syria, and I went to Iraq, and I went to all these different places, and then finally I ended up in this one town, and it was the day before Ramadan. And so the people said, our Imam has just passed away, so why don't you lead us in the Salah? He's like, okay, sure. So he led them in Salah. Then after that, the people said to him, well, we know that you are a great scholar, and our Imam, as you know, he has passed away, so we hope that maybe you can take up the responsibility of leading the prayer for the entire Ramadan. He said, okay. So he completed the entire Ramadan with them. Then after that, they said, well, there is, the family of the Imam who's passed away, they have a daughter, and we just thought maybe she would be suitable. So he said, I got to know this young lady, alhamdulillah, and then we decided to get married, and we had kids, and it was a great marriage. Right? Alhamdulillah, he's now settled down. Until one day, his wife got extremely ill, and he was extremely worried. So he goes into the bedroom, like nursing her, making sure that everything's okay. And in that on that one day, he noticed her wearing this red necklace. So he says, where did you get this red necklace from? She said, I actually lost this necklace once upon a time. And my father told me many years ago that when he had lost the necklace, that there was a young man who had found it and didn't keep it, and he was a very responsible person. And he gave it back to my father. And and my father said, this man is such a truthful and such a responsible person that I wish that I can find a husband like him for my son. And look what happened. He ended up marrying this girl. The fruits of responsibility, brothers and sisters. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما صليت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد وبارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما باركت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد اللهم انصر الاسلام والمسلمين ودين الشرك والمشركين اعداءك اعداء الدين ربنا اتنا في الدنيا حسنه وفي الاخره حسنه وقنا عذاب النار وقنا الصلاه